All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to my stream, and today I just wanted to just chill out a bit. It's been a long work week, and I work on the computer, at the computer all day, and read a lot of documentation. So I wanted to get away from reading text on the screen, get away from the code for a bit, because I'm bound to just make a bunch of mistakes, and do some artwork. Specifically for the level design, which was what I did in my previous stream as well. So I have open the FlowScape program, and I'm going to use this to make the backgrounds for my 2D Dark Tower Defense game, which is being developed in the GDevelop engine. So let's go ahead and get a scene going here. I'm just going to randomize it. No serious plan right now, just going with the flow, just chilling. So I've got it set to 1440 full screen, high resolution. Let's see what happens. And it's telling us to smile at strangers, which is actually pretty impactful. Most people don't expect you to smile at them, oddly enough. Hopefully your week's been going well, whoever's watching this, whenever you're watching it. If it's been a long one, I feel you. I'm right there with you. Hang in there. All right, what's it going to throw at us? A desert biome? A little bit arid, yeah. Kind of rocky. It's got some cool music going along with it too. FlowScape is pretty cool. So what I want to do is I'm going to clear the plants. Yeah, clear the plants, and we'll just start with the ground. But I don't want... Really, just a pretty basic template, because this is going to be part of my sort of first realm in the game, and it's going to be a pretty normal grassland, sort of a kind of like this, actually. You know, there's going to be just a handful of levels within that region, and it's a starting zone, so it's pretty normal, pretty calm, pretty friendly. And then after that, it's going to progress to, like, you know, volcano region, ice region, whatever. So let's give me 1 second here, actually. Be right back. Okay, so let's dive right into this. Let me grab some tools here and adjust the landscape. I don't need this bubble thingy right here in the middle. So, what I want to do with that is... What I want to do is remember my tools. I just worked on this. That's how long of a week it's been so far. Let's see. Oh, sculpt. That's what I'm looking for. So sculpt gives me this circle. If I normal click, it's going to raise it. And if I shift click, it dimples it down. So let me just mash it down a bit, because even though this is sort of a 3D sort of platform, my game is it's actually rendering in 2D. So if I have too crazy of terrain, it's sort of an isometric view, right? So kind of like at this angle, roughly. But if I have big old hills like this, Hobbit homes, then when I have like a 2D sprite just going along a single plane, an XY plane, and not interacting with the vertical Z-axis, it's gonna look kind of funny. So for that reason, we're just gonna cheese it a bit, make it look kind of flat, with just mild variations in the height. Maybe if I make a sequel, if I enjoy it enough, I might explore actually doing this in 3D, either in another engine or I know that GDevelop has recently added some 3D capabilities. So I'm really excited to see what the community does there. GDevelop has a decent community getting it going. Okay, so enough ado. Much ado about nothing. I went and saw that musical once, Much Ado About Nothing. And some guy came out on the stage and said, we're here to talk about Much Ado About... And then someone came out and said, what? Oh, nothing. At the time I thought it was funny. Now I think it was just a dad joke. Let's get... Let me play with the tiling a bit here. So the tiling is kind of the trick to making it look like we're further away from the terrain than we necessarily are. So if I get down in here, point my camera in here, something like this. We're just Bob Rossing it. He was the man. But definitely we're just going to make a bunch of happy little birdies out of a bunch of errors here today. Let's get a little more tiling going on. Something like that. Now I think my number pad arrows transition the sun. And the shadow came over them. Can you hear the music right now? It sounds like a sunrise soundscape. Okay, so wherever the sun is right here, that's not too bad. Yeah. I don't want harsh directional shadows because the game, which is a dark themed tower defense game, darkness versus light, the enemies literally absorb your light, which is your life and your currency. And so because it's going to adjust the ambient light a lot, but I'm importing a screenshot of this landscape. It's not going to interact with that ambient light once it's in the game. I don't want harsh directional shadows in my 2D sprite. I think I want to sink this area down a bit. And let me double check how to actually hide my UI. Close this. I just read through this. If you watch my last stream, I just read through all of these instructions. Unbelievable. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Rotating the sun. Save the camera, which I will do because I keep moving it. Then I have to try to reset it. Spacebar, that's what we're looking for. All right, so now if I bring up the terrain sculptor, I can hide the UI, and I think I want to bring up this big patch back here. Not that much. Go down. It's just getting a bit away from us back there, I think. Okay. I think that's a decent starting point. I mean, it's really just a lot of work to make it look relatively flat. But again, that's the starting point. So now what we're going to do is put some stuff on top of it. And let's keep the... We have two different... I don't know what to call it, but we have two different types of grass going on here. You can see the different options. So I'm going to keep what we have here because it matches my first couple of levels in the game, but I need to make a lot of levels. So for that reason, I'm just going to start moving forward. I think I want to start with the actual path and the home base. Maybe the home base first. Yeah, screw it. Let's just pick up base. Okay, let's see. There we go. Size. Way smaller. Several free assets here inside of FlowScape, which is super handy. Of course, you can import your own. I don't have a bunch of my own, nor have I bothered to go out and find... The problem isn't finding 3D assets, it's finding 3D assets that all sort of fit the same vibe, and same general look and feel. So for the moment, for the time being, I'm just sticking with mostly the FlowScape assets. I'm actually using a couple of assets out of Paint 3D, of all things. Not super high poly or anything like that. But they're doing the trick for now. Do you make any of your own 2D or 3D assets? And if so, what do you prefer? Which tools do you use? A Blender, or if you're doing 2D, do you use a specific sprite editor? I do some work with pixelart.com. Pixelart.com is kind of fun because they have a daily challenge, like a lemon, and everyone makes a lemon that day. All right, these are fancier than I want for the starting area, but they definitely give us some options for down the road. So, one thing that I did implement in my previous... Oh, let me lock the camera. So now I locked the camera, and if I move on accident, it will... I can push page down, and it'll go straight back to where I was. Super handy. Anyway, I was saying I'm using a light post. And why is this menu up here? Oh, I clicked on the camcorder. I use a light post to indicate where you're capturing your light. I might change that in the future, I don't know yet. But right now that just sort of represents where you want to go. And then near the light post is an actual physical facility as well, like a little hut or something. So my level 1, the base is somewhere right about here. Level 2, it's right about here. Level 3, somewhere over here. So I don't know. Let's just go, like, say, up in here. Let me scale it up a little bit. And then I should also have, some building options. Need something really, really simple. This is like practically tutorial land, although not literally a tutorial. Is that as small as it gets? Like these, I think would be good for like something like that, for like a level 2 area, like a zone 2. Alright, so for something like this, go back. Told you I'm going to keep moving the camera. Like, could just actually do a little windmill. Yeah, I'm just playing with this, wondering if it's gonna look alright. Okay, how do you deselect? Next, let's do some pathing. Oh man. And then let's get straight into building the rest of the environment. And my plan is to go quickly from here and knock out at least a couple of levels. Because I need to have at least like 100. Gotta have a lot. And these are handcrafted, obviously, so without auto-generating them in any ways, I've got my work cut out for me. Go back to the terrain. Let's go to paint. Now this will be my path painter. And I have some different options. I think... So even after I lay it down, I can still change what type of path terrain. It's still something pretty rugged, I think. So I think I want to save, say, this lava flow for definitely for a different level. This forest rooty floor, where'd it go? It's not letting me select it. Well, the rooty forest looking floor, I want to save that one for a different area. For now, I'm thinking this kind of really rough, sort of a rough cobble, a decent cobble, and then there's more of a gravel. So if I go with the rough cobble, and then I tile it just like the rest of the terrain. And then let me erase what I've thrown on there, make the path smaller. And then it'll actually come out from my base. And from here I need to pick my strategic directions. So is this going to be a multi-path level? I wouldn't say it should be terribly difficult, but it can be multi-path. So if I go, say, right out to the middle. Why is it not painting? Paint. Right out to the middle. And then one goes off over here. And one goes over here. Would that make sense? I don't see why not. And then let's just start throwing some trees. And now that we're doing the trees, we'll pick an area in which it will randomly create them. Which if I size it just right, it'll kind of fill in this area right here. Well, I don't want that one to block our little... So I can delete individual ones as needed. So I can move that one out of my way. Get this big one out of the way. And up here on the top, I do have them actually pretty small. They do randomize, but it's generally small. But I'm so close to the terrain. Again, we're kind of artificially backed up from it. We're actually super close in terms of the camera to the object, which is why a lot of these things are coming in so giant. Don't really want much random lean. Size variation is okay, and then this is the speed objects grow. And then this is the flow. So let's make these even smaller. Maybe get rid of the super giant ones here. Let's grow some trees up in here. Hide the UI. Trees. And then this was kind of an issue I had last time where, because in the game it's not a 3D engine, it's not a 3D world, so you're not moving around like you would like in a 3D sandbox. I don't want the camera to be looking backwards at things. I'd rather they be mostly straight up, because it's a very wide angle lens. So I wonder if there is a setting for adjusting the angle of the user's lens here. That's something I should probably look into. I think down here is just a screenshot. So that, yeah, that took a screenshot. Camera distance. Oh, sorry, that's shadow distance. Camera distance. So I don't know, maybe that would adjust. Tell you what, let's max that out, take a screenshot, minimize it, take a screenshot. Then let me pull up the folder where these are going and let's test this out. So these should be going here. Let me see. Quick access. On the high resolution, these photos come in pretty large. See here. 5.2. So I had some previous ones that came in at about 70, almost 78 megs for a single screenshot. Here's what that looked like, by the way, from the previous stream. So this time, we've got this guy. So I'm really not seeing a huge difference here. In camera distance, I'm not sure what that does. Capture panorama. I'm just learning on the fly right here, y'all. Let's pick some different trees. I always say I'm going to go fast, and then I take so long. Maybe we're starting to get to the end of our happy little zone here. So maybe I'll start working in more and more dead trees. Make these larger. Like, start foreshadowing, pun intended, what is to come. You have some living trees and then a lot of these not so living trees, which means we would need some stumpage. Okay, not that big. Not that big. Let's bring that back down a bit. Tame it. These things are going to dwarf our towers. Just from a game design standpoint, I want to try to be deliberate about where the player can and cannot place a tower as much as possible just by looking at the world to make it intuitive, which is easier said than done. But for example, if I don't want them to be able to place a tower over, say, this tree, which part of the tree can they not place the tower on? Because it's coming out of the ground here. So obviously this part here is if you can see that. Arguably, that is the main trunk of the little tree. And then this might be overhanging a bit. So maybe you could put the tower sort of up against this overhanging branch, but not where the trunk is, because that wouldn't make sense. Or same thing for like, well, I guess any of these. But the question then is, how far out from the trunk of the trees can you place the tower? So these evergreens, clearly you could brush up against some of that. You just couldn't overtake the middle. But then if you have something smaller like this little scrub, you might think, oh, you could just plop any kind of tower on top of that thing. But can you or can you not? You can't really tell just by looking at it. So I want to either fix that by making larger objects, like this trunk here, or a rock, or by making more of these all together. So now I have all this brush in the same spot. Well, that one's kind of dramatic. So now that I have a cluster, it's a little more visually obvious that that's not a place you can build on top of. But that being said, I need to actually choose strategically where I want the player to be able to place stuff. So let's say I want to give them at least one of these corners. Obviously, corners are the best places. Yeah, intersections are the best places for towers in a tower defense. So I'll give them this plot of land. Let me get rid of this guy, because again, kind of just getting in the way visually. But I will put a rock, some kind of rockage down here, so they can't place them right at the bottom of the screen. Now they're not actually, the player is not interacting directly with this world that I'm making here. I'm putting collision in on top of this as a different layer within the game engine. So up in here is a no-go. Really, rocks are kind of a good way to kind of paint this out. So nowhere up in here. And then hide the UI here. Now we're back in here. That's all off limits, don't need to bother. Really don't need to place anything way back behind the base. But I think I will open up most of this area right here. I think I wanted to just block off this part of the intersection. And then, so let me get behind the base, grab a different type of evergreen. About like this. Let's see how big these come in. Okay. Back in there. There we go. So. Oh, what just happened there? Did you see that? What is... I'm losing trees. I'm not sure what's happening here, people. Let me save this. They're cutting out some of my other trees. What in the world? Okay, that's dramatic. Come on now. I think it looks okay to have them large, but the scale of my in-game towers right now, they don't appear so large. They're really no bigger than this guy right here. So to have just a random tree like quadruple the size of your tower feels bad, man. All right, I think this scrub right here is kind of visually in the way. All right, does this make visual sense now as to where you can and cannot drop a tower down? And again, a tower base is going to be about the size of, say, this rock area right here in-game. So that's kind of the stamp, the footprint that we're looking at. So you could place a couple up in here, along in here. Back in here looks a little ambiguous. Let's place, what do we not have? Some fallen logs. Where do I get those? Are there any in here? Don't actually know. I can use that thingy. Let me scale that up a bit. And then move it. There we go. That can block it off. All right, that's pretty good. And then maybe just a little bit of brush or scrub on the bottom. And I think on the last level I also added some flowers. So for some continuity, we could add a few flowers. Again, this is just sort of the starting area, so, you know, still a little bit happy before it gets really, really dark. Alright, so no rhyme or reason to this whatsoever. Then I think the last thing I wanted to do, oh, this here looks a little, again, it looks a little bit vague. So do I want, looks like this area here should just be a no-go, but then I think I'll allow this area all along this side, this area here, and mostly all along this side. Think we'll go with that. Maybe even get rid of this tree here. That seems pretty obvious, pretty straightforward. I don't want to say obvious. Oh, here are the logs. All right, let's use these to block off our last areas. Now, make this area smaller. Now it seems like these actually need to be larger. Okay, there we go. Maybe there are too many of these up in here. All right, well, what you think? think the last thing I'm going to do, you know, we could go crazy and add a bunch of leaves and stuff. I don't think I need that. How good does it look? Big giant leaves. No, not here. Think we will pretty much just go with it. Let me add one more tree or something over here, and then we'll call it good. Okay. Really? No. That probably works. It's a little bit ugly, but it definitely looks like that area is completely blocked off. This area is completely open. Maybe like place like maybe one rock right here, and just scale it up a little bit. Is that 2 rocks? Like this. Just to say, yeah, don't be confused. You're definitely not allowed to put a tower here. But pretty much anywhere else, you can put some back here, along this pathway, and here. And if I hide the UI, maybe back here, you put another... I favor rocks for the lower area because of the weird angle. So let me place another rock down here. Could even be one of these guys. Yeah. And then last... What is this? Maybe we could put a cloud and just put a set of cloud here. Now last, I was just going to see if I wanted to use... If you notice my lamp post back there has no light coming out of it, but there is one lamp post that has light. And I'm playing around with using those in general for the game. Let me see if I can find it for starters. Bunch of ships. Where was it? I think I... The fire is actually not too terrible here. But I'm using particle emitters from GDevelop. So if I add a flame here, it's just going to be a screenshot of a flame, and that's not really what I'm looking for. Oops. That's the lamppost I'm talking about. So maybe instead of this other one, we place this one, and then remove the first, place this one over here, and this says this is where your home is. Don't ask me why, that's just the rules. And then which way do we want to face it? Probably facing this way, hanging over the pathway. Alright, and we are almost home. That should work, people. That should work. Let's go ahead and grab the screenshot that we need. Let me go to the settings. Oh, is this? This is what I was looking for earlier. Okay, next level, I'm going to use that. Oh, geez, I don't even know what it had it set to. That looks about right. Okay. That's exactly what I was looking for earlier. All right. I had to step away for a minute. The dog was chewing up her dog bed. Anyways, we're just about done here with this scene. And because I'm super slow, at least today I am, I'm just going to end at this level. But I want to do more of these sessions. Obviously, I need to do like 100 of these, and this is number 4. So I've got 96 to go. So hopefully you'll join me for the next 94. And they're going to go hopefully faster and faster. But again, it's much more of a marathon than a sprint. I just enjoy the process a lot. I enjoy the learning as I go, and I enjoyed the outcome. It's really satisfying, and hopefully it's going to end up being a really fun game to play. So let me grab the screenshot that I need here. We're going to do... I'm trying to remember what the resolution for medium, how much size, what file size we're talking there. So let me grab a sample of that. Let's see. Yes. Then for comparison, let me grab a low. Actually, let me grab a couple. I forgot to take into consideration the windmill blade. Funny thing is, I don't even know, this is probably a terrible place for a windmill, isn't it? But if I open up that area back behind it, thematically it might not make sense. I mean, thematically it might make sense, but functionally it might be confusing as to why the player wouldn't be able to place a new tower in an open patch. So, I don't know. Low, let's take a couple of lows in case the file size is what we need. Got those. Let's save. Overwrite that. Let's go to the file structure. And here's what... Okay, yeah, so the medium comes in at 20 megs, the low comes in at 4.4, and I think 15 is the max. So for reference, here's the difference. Low, and then medium. Low, medium. Is that right? Yeah, 14 and 45. So 14... low, medium. So, if you look at like the grass texture stuff here, it looks more blurred on this setting rather than this one. I feel like an optometrist. A or B, A or B. But is it worth the extra 10 megs per background? If we're gonna have 100 of these in the game on top of literally everything else, and it's just your background, that's one of the performance cuts you take. You pick your battles, and in this battle, the difference is relatively subtle enough that I would settle for this rather than this at a fraction of the size, especially multiplied by 100 backgrounds. So let me get rid of the ones I'm not using, because I saved the project. I can always return to it if need be. And I'll just drop it into the game real quick so we can just sort of test it out, see how it looks in-game. Pull up good old GDevelop. It's going to tell me there's an update available. There it is. And there's that one. All right. Let's go to our scene. Nelsino de Crimo. Go to the background. That's the ground image. There it is. Let's add a sprite to this. Rather, add an animation. Add the sprite to the animation. And let me double check here. I have some old assets in here. All right, here it is. Here it is. Let's drag that upward. And apply. All right. So there is the, if you've been following along, a lot of my coding is being tested just on level 1, which is this. So let's look at, all I do is change the animation. So there's 2, 3, and then 4. So, oh, and then that's nothing. So if I actually run it though, you'll get some lighting effects. Hold on, before I do though. Let me think. Let me make a duplicate. Let me save. Let me make a duplicate of the project and then screw around with the duplicate. Okay. That way, when I inevitably mess something up, it won't be too bad to fix. So what I have are some light sources in the game. Let me move. This one here is the ambient light source, and in this case I might actually reduce it down. I think I'd need to just do it in the code though, not here. So that's going to be sort of behind where the lamp is. But then I've got these flame particles, which I want to place on the lamp itself, and I have 2 because I placed them on different layers. I like the way it looks. Then I've got a couple of peripheral ambient light sources, just to add a little something, but I don't want them to be particularly strong, so I'll move them farther out. And let's run that and see what that looks like. All right, there we go. There's our our level. What do we think? Seems like the shadows aren't too terrible. Looks like the flame is a little bit off of the lamp post, so I would obviously need to move that to the right spot, slightly up here, and then put the ambient light right on top of that. And since this is a dark themed game, I'd probably move these farther out. And let me double check what the starting light quality is. It's really, really high actually. Realistically, it might start more like this. Darker. A little bit spookier. You've got like wraiths coming out of these dark areas on the sides. Now if I were to bring those ambient light sources back, they would make it not pitch black, but to where you can still see a little bit of detail. Kind of like that. Now obviously my enemies aren't going to follow the path right now. They're going to follow the path from level 1. But they would behave kind of like this. And the tower placement will look something like this. And as you place towers, you run out of light currency. And you can update or upgrade your towers. What do we think? A little rough around the edges, but it's a start, people. It's a start. And there's some of that special loot that we put in a couple streams back as well. So, level 4. 96 to go. Thanks for watching, and